Hello everyone. In this presentation, I want to give you a clear definition of what a thesis statement is and is not, so that you can be confident in creating your own thesis statements for all of your essays. So let's begin. The topics that we will cover are: why do you need a thesis statement? What is a thesis statement? Where is the thesis statement located? Types of thesis statements, and questions to ask yourself. Without a thesis statement, it would be hard for anyone to know what your main point is. So why do you need a thesis statement? First of all, it tells the reader what the essay is going to be about. And secondly, it gives the reader a quick and easy point to follow. Why do you need a thesis statement? You want to start a speech without telling the audience what the topic was about, would you? As a number of you know, that a good speech always starts out with the speaker describing to the audience what he's going to be talking about. This is the same with a good essay. You've got to indicate to the reader your main point. What is a thesis statement? It's a statement of fact or observation with an assertion. A fact or observation only, for example, is people use many lawn chemicals. Okay, that is definitely not a thesis, right? Thesis is, for example, people are poisoning the environment with chemicals merely to keep their lawns clean. This is an observation with an assertion, right? Which is a thesis. Here we have the formula for a thesis. Fact or observation plus assertion equals thesis. For example, people are poisoning the environment with chemicals. This is a fact. And merely to keep their lawns clean, this is an assertion. So this fact and assertion equals the thesis. What is a thesis statement? Well, it's not an announcement. For example, the thesis of this paper is the difficulty of solving our environmental problems. Clearly, that's an announcement. That is not a thesis statement. Rather, a thesis statement takes a stand. Solving our environmental problems is more difficult than many environmentalists believe. Also, a thesis statement is not a title. For example, Social Security and Old Age. It must be a complete sentence. For example, continuing changes in the Social Security system makes it impossible to plan intelligently for one's retirement. So another point of what a thesis is not, right? It's not a broad statement. For example, the American steel industry has many problems. That's just too broad. A thesis statement is one that is narrow. For example, the primary problem of the American steel industry is the lack of funds to renovate outdated plants and equipment. A thesis statement is also not vague or general. For example, Hemingway's war stories are very good. Oh, that's obviously too general. Thesis statements are very specific. For example, Hemingway's stories helped create a new prose style by employing extensive dialogue. Another point is that thesis statements do not have several main points. This would obviously be confusing, right? For example, Stephen Hawking's physical disability has not prevented him from becoming a world-renowned physicist, and his book is the subject of a movie. Too many main points there, right? A thesis statement has one main point. Stephen Hawking's physical disability has not prevented him from becoming a world-renowned physicist. It's definitely one point there. So, where is the thesis statement located? Well, generally, it is located at the end of the first paragraph of an essay. Here's an example. Let's read the whole paragraph first, and then we'll know where the thesis usually lies. The nursing team in a small hospital meets the routine and special daily needs of patients. A registered professional nurse usually leads the team, and members often include registered and practical nurses, nurses' aides, and attendants. Although all nurses care for patients, the duties and working conditions of team members on the first and second shifts differ considerably, right? So, notice that the thesis statement is located at the end of the paragraph. This is effective when you write an introduction to an essay to place the thesis statement at the end. And in that position, right, it helps the reader focus on what the main point of the essay is going to be. So, what kinds of, or the kind of thesis statement you write will depend on what kind of paper you are writing, right? So here are different types of thesis statements. In an analytical paper, your thesis will explain what you are analyzing as well as the order in which you will be presenting your analysis. For example, in this analytical thesis statement, it says, an analysis of barn owl flight behavior reveals two kinds of flight patterns, patterns related to hunting prey and patterns related to courtship. So this is an analytical thesis statement. In an expository or explanatory essay, the thesis will tell your audience what you will explain to them, including the categories and the order. Here's an example of an expository thesis statement. The lifestyles of barn owls include hunting for insects and animals, building nests, and raising their young. Now, in an argumentative paper, the thesis will mention your claim or assertion, the reasons or evidence that support this claim, and the order of your presentation. Here's an example of an argumentative thesis statement. Barn owls' nests should not be eliminated from barns because barn owls help farmers by eliminating insect and rodent pests. Now, here are some questions that you need to ask yourself when writing a thesis statement. You will write a better thesis statement if you ask yourself questions such as the following. What is my claim or assertion? What are the reasons I have to support my claim or assertion? In what order should I present my reasons? If you ask yourself these questions, you will most certainly improve the way you compose your thesis statements. In conclusion, we have learned the following points in order to improve our creation of thesis statements. First, write a thesis statement to give your reader the main point of your essay. Second, a thesis statement is a fact or observation with an assertion. Third, a thesis statement is usually located at the end of the first paragraph of an essay. Fourth, your thesis statement will depend on the type of paper you are writing. Lastly, in order to write a better thesis statement, ask yourself critical questions. If you want to review or investigate this issue further, please look up the references on this slide. Thanks for being here, and I hope after listening to this presentation, you will be able to write your own thesis with more confidence. Good luck and happy thesis writing.